victors could celebrate, the tension of the final months of war fell away. Many were already anticipating returning home to their families. Celebrations also took place at the military airfield. Somebody sprayed VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, in buttercream frosting on the victory cake. Remained of the highly touted treasure chest of the German Empire was a desert of ruins and rubble. More than 400,000 people had lived here before the war. Half that number still remaining in the city were without roofs over their heads. Survival was a question of improvisation. Many people cooked outdoors in the protection of the medieval city wall, which had survived the war more or less intact. Beneath the threadbare Red Cross flag stood the city's only water source. Starvation and disease were a constant threat, which is why the Americans did all they could to avoid civil unrest. The Red Cross took care of a young anti-aircraft worker and tried to find a place for him to stay. With its strict rules and regulations, the Army succeeded in preventing chaos. The biggest shortage was food. So the U.S. Army donated dried milk and fruit from their own rations. The air raids had not only destroyed the city, but also the people's sense of right and wrong. Looting was a major threat. At first, food distributions were below the daily 1,600-calorie subsistence minimum. But soon care packages arrived from the United States, quelling hunger and prompting reconciliation with the occupying forces. Ruins as far as the eye could see. Countless bomb craters filled the city. Buried streets and property lines turned the city's map into waste paper. Horse-drawn carts handled the transportation. There was no motor fuel. Where once wealthy Nurembergers strolled down the wide boulevards, survivors looked for a narrow path to walk on. Silently, the people wound their way in their Sunday finery with almost rural stillness. Adolf Hitler Platz, today's main marketplace, where the Americans had demonstrated their victory a few days before. The walled-in beautiful fountain and Nuremberg landmark to the present day was protected from grenades by a stone enclosure. The Americans suspected the worst behind it. This had been the home of Nazi Gauleiter Julius Streicher. As a gutted building, it no longer posed a threat. The Americans were determined to put an immediate end to Germany's fascist past. They called it denazification. The conquerors drove their jeeps past the symbolically significant Nazi structures that still remained in Nuremberg. American pilots discovered the remains of the dynamited swastika and inspected the damage.